Hey guys, Gary Box here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we store our data in our studio and give you a few tips because the biggest problem that I see a lot of people doing, or the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people making, is that their primary storage method for their imagery is this, an external hard drive. Well, the problem is the number one killer of hard drives is heat. And most externals do not have a decent cooling system. So they tend to get hot, which causes the drive to fail. This is why there are so many fans inside your computer and other units, is to circulate air and keep that drive cool, which is essential. I would never encourage you to buy an important hard drive that doesn't have a fan in it. So if you're going to look at an external, look at one with a fan in it, because the heat is going to kill your hard drives. Solid state drives seem to do a better job and more resistant to heat, but you know, they haven't been around that long, and they surely will have a crop of problems in the future. So they are more dependable at this point, but they're also more expensive as well. So let's talk a little bit about it. One other option you can also use as an additional layer of security is you can buy something like this from Amazon. This is a hard drive dock, okay? And you can take hard drives, either the smaller drives, and put it in there and be able to plug it directly into your computer, or the larger drives like this. So this way you can make an extra backup copy to just a bare hard drive, which is very inexpensive, and then you can take this baby home or put it off site somewhere, and that's just an extra layer of backup. Now, we recently had a Drobo NAS. NAS means network attached storage. It's kind of like a server, but it doesn't actually run server software, and other computers can't run themselves off of that. That's probably your biggest difference. It's a massive storage device. Well, we had a Drobo that crashed, and unfortunately Drobo was out of business. There is no help, there's nothing. I even bought a new unit, put my drives in it with my fingers crossed that it would read it. No, it did not. So we pretty much lost everything on that drive. Now, fortunately, we are very religious in our studio about all of our client data, backing it up to archival grade DVDs. And so we didn't lose any client work, fortunately. We had to pull a bunch of DVDs to pull it back off, which was a little bit of a pain, but we had it, okay? We did unfortunately lose a lot of our marketing stuff, price lists and things like that, more recent updates, because we're not so religious about backing up our own stuff as we are about clients. So we are working on getting better at that now. So what did I choose as a replacement? So I used to use two different things, a Dell server here, which was faster but limited capacity, and then the Drobo, which was like our archive server, our stuff that was done. And so the Drobo is what crashed, and it was just a NAS. I replaced it with a new Synology, the DS 1823 XS Plus. Now, this is on the higher end of the Synology units, and most of you probably don't need this level of performance. You can use a smaller one. Like I have an older unit right here. This is a 920 Plus. I think the current replacement for it is a 923 Plus. So these are a NAS, a network attached storage. And the brand that I love is Synology, and it has a lot of great features. So for example, I can access the files on here from anywhere in the world via the web. I was just teaching in North Carolina last weekend and needed some files, and I just logged on to my server remotely and pulled the files off that I needed. So that's a really, really nice ability. So this is also not 1000T on the network. It's it's 10,000. So it's a much faster network. But I also had to have a 10,000 network switch up here. Okay, so these are switches. These are all of our incoming computers and printers and devices and everything up here. Now, I needed the higher speed unit because we have 3 of us that are pretty much power users working from this at the same time. And I'm not very patient. I didn't want to slow down and wait. So like this one will read like 250 megabytes per second. This one will read 3,100 megabytes per second. So this is beyond the unit, beyond the needs of most smaller photographers. This would work ideal. Now, these units are RAIDs. So let's talk a little bit about a RAID. So a RAID is a redundant array of independent disks. Okay? So it's basically a bunch of different hard drives working together is what RAID means. Now, there are different types of RAIDs, though, and I thought I would clarify that and make a recommendation as far as what works really well. So there is RAID 0. Now, the pros of RAID 0 is it's faster. The cons is there's no duplication. So data will only come off of your drive so fast, so it splits it between two drives, A, B, C, D, E, F. So it's pulling off of two drives instead of one, so you're literally pulling data off the drive twice as fast. So this is a speed advantage, but no safety. So RAID 1 is a safety RAID, okay? The pros are your data is duplicated. The cons, you don't really get a speed boost. So you have this hard drive ABC and it makes a second copy ABC. So if this hard drive fails, no problemo. You just put a new one in and it copies it over to that one and you're back to two copies. So this is very, very important to have right here. Now, you can actually combine the two and have RAID 10 or RAID 1 plus 0, where basically it's like this is RAID 0, a striped pair, A, B, this is A, B, C, D, E, F, but there's two copies of it. So if you lose a drive, you just put it in and it copies back. So you get the advantage of the speed, but you still have the duplication. So this is actually what I run. The downside is it takes more drives to hold it up, so it is a little bit more expensive. What works best for a lot of photographers, though, is what's called RAID 5. So RAID 5 uses 3 disks, okay? You have, your data is striped over 2 disks, and then the third is your safety. It's called a parity. Now I'll explain that in a second. But basically, if you have 4 terabytes, 4 terabytes, 4 terabytes, you're going to get 8 terabytes usable. The other 4 terabytes is going to be a safety net, your parity drive. Now, RAID 5 reads very fast because it's essentially striped, but it does write slightly slower because it has to calculate the parity or the safety data. So it could be set up to where one whole drive is parity, or usually they put the parity in chunks across different drives. But if this drive fails, you just put another one in and it will rebuild. So this is more efficient than a lot of other systems as far as space being used, and so this is what I recommend. So whenever I first learned about RAIDs, I didn't understand, though, if this is 4 terabyte and this is 4 terabyte, how can a single 4 terabyte drive contain all of that 8 terabytes of data? Well, it does it through something called parity, okay? Parity means difference. So what it does is it adds the 2 disks together and totals it on the other one. So right here we have 0 plus 1 equals 1 when you're talking in binary, 1 plus 1 equals 0, and 0 plus 0 equals 0. So the way it works is, if this disk fails and you put a new disk in it, it's going to do the math and recalculate and rebuild it. So it would say 1 minus 0 has to be 1, so it would know that your first value is a 1. 0 minus 1 is 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. So it can rebuild this drive just by doing the math. It takes it a few minutes to be able to do that, but again, you have a safety net. So I highly recommend that you absolutely need a RAID. For most people, I think RAID 5 is your best alternative. So RAID 5 is going to take a minimum of 3 drives. You can do your RAID 1, your safety, with only 2 drives. So that's the difference in your RAID units, okay? Now, Synology is my brand of preference. They are very, very good, great service. There are other brands out there, QNAP, Buffalo, TerraStation. There's a ton of them. If you're still on a Drobo, I highly recommend you probably look at a new solution and get your data migrated over. You could still use the Drobo as an extra layer of backup if you wanted to, but I wouldn't depend on it at this point. And I say that from experience because I definitely got burned. I have a lot of people, laugh or joke about DVDs being old, but this is hands down the safest way to store your data. Right here, okay? Archival grade DVDs. So this cannot fail. It can't crash. It cannot be attacked by ransomware and locked out or anything like that. So this is by far your safest form of long-term data storage right here and a backup. So, yes, I know a lot of computers don't have DVDs in them right now, the new ones. You can still buy an external. I have my Mac Studio with an external DVD player sitting right on top of it. So that still is your ultimate safety net right there. And of course, you have cloud backup. But cloud backups fail as well. I had some 30,000 files deleted out of Dropbox a few years ago through a Dropbox error. They told me I must have accidentally deleted them. No, because all the empty folders were still there, like hundreds of them, but all the data that was in the folders was gone. So yes, cloud services can go bad as well. One of the companies a few years ago went belly up. If you had everything in the cloud, in their cloud, it's gone, because the company went belly up. So cloud is a great extra layer of security, but again, I wouldn't bank on any one form. RAIDs can fail. Single externals, they definitely fail. And even cloud services can fail. So that's why you need to have multiple copies. They say the ultimate backup strategy is 3, 2, 1. You have at least 3 copies of your data in on 2 different media types, with one of them being off-site. So a hard drive and a DVD are 2 different media types. A take-home drive using a dock or using a cloud service is one level that is off-site. So that's basically what we practice. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about that. I've had questions on how do I like my new Synology, which one did I get, how's it working. It is a dream. It is absolutely amazing. It is actually significantly faster than the Dell server. Now this is quite a few years old. It was state of the art at the time, and I paid about $10,000 for this. So this unit right here with all the discs in it, I think was around $5,000, but you can do a smaller unit. You can do a 2-drive unit with discs starting around, I think around $700 for a Synology, depending upon what drives and capacity and everything that you put in it and what speed of a unit that you want. If you're looking at like a 923 with, which is a 4-drive unit right here, which would probably be the ideal solution for many of you. You're looking with 4 drives somewhere probably around, I'm going to guess the $2,000 mark. I haven't actually priced it in a while, but this is a great solution that won't really break the bank. It's not cheap, but you don't want to lose your data. One hard drive recovery could cost you more than buying this entire unit. So anyway, if you have any questions, drop them down below, and I hope this helps you guys out a little bit. So have a great day.